Mythic raiders are just any raider who can just kind of follow instructions, like they can kind of hold on to someone leading them. That's the only difference between Mythic and LF4 Raider. LF4 Raider will spend most of the time in chat arguing about their moms and things like that, and whether their mom did this, did that. And Mythic Raider will not go into that conversation and will just follow the raid leader. And after hundreds and hundreds of wipes, they'll feel good about themselves because, hey, it only took me about 300 wipes to actually get this mechanic down. Whoa, I am looking super ginger today. Look at this red beard. Hello guys, so welcome to my new video, and today we'll be talking about multiple different things. First of all, Eternal Palace is out, and what has been your experience so far? Whether you did normal, whether you did heroic, how did you like it? Do you think it was fun? Do you think it was undertuned? Or maybe a little bit too easy? Maybe? I don't know. Let me know, guys. I'll try and read the comments, and if you get a little nice heart behind the comment, it means that your comment is relevant and actually funny or good. And if you don't get a red heart, then basically I don't care. It's completely garbage. Just get out. Just doesn't matter. First of all, I wanted to talk about the Eternal Palace, talk about some of the bosses, whether they were good. But wait, first of all, I nearly forgot. Does anyone actually know when the last time Rust Feather was killed? Because guys, I need my mount. I better go and, spam the chat every 5 minutes. Please. Our great overlord Rusty Feather, may you live forever and grant me your sweet, sweet mount, so I'll stop spamming the general chat every 5 minutes. I don't want to spam anymore. Well, that's out of the way, so we can actually go and look at some of the bosses. So first of all, Eternal Palace, one of the coolest entrances ever. Number one for entrance, you go down this little kind of... You're basically being flushed down the toilet in the best possible way imaginable. The raid itself, the atmosphere, the look and feel, it's very underwater, fishy kind of thing. And I love that. I love that kind of thing. So first of all, let's talk about the first boss, and that is Commander Cheverus. Commander Cheverus, the only thing I remember about it is that there's frost, there's green stuff, you have to dodge some stuff. Honestly, felt like a trash mob, but then again, the trash mobs in the actual raid dungeon hit harder. So again, severely undertuned, or at least kind of felt easier. Funnily enough, this boss ended up doing or acquired more healing than a lot of other bosses. So in terms of healing performance, on how much healing it's needed, this is actually one of the better bosses. So I actually kind of enjoyed it on heroic. On normal, it felt super boring because, again, quite easy. Now if we go to the Blackwater Behemoth, and this is, guys, this is one of the best bosses, or at least one of the best bosses to make a video about, because it's so bad. It's one of those things where, underwater boss might actually be really cool. You know what Blizzard hasn't done in a long time? An underwater boss. Yeah, there's a reason why they haven't done underwater bosses, because it's just so bad. There's so many different issues with it. It's so hard to see or judge your range. Like, one of the heroic mechanics is like you have to kind of be spread out. Maybe it's on normal, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to normal. You don't even have to pay attention to normal. But either way, on heroic you have to spread out. You can't really tell the difference between how far you are from anybody. Like, the only way I could tell the range was because I had the DBM thing that tells me, oh hey MadSkillz, you're 5 yards within this. Otherwise, I would have no idea, because the depth perception is way off. Second of all, ground effects, it's like I have no idea whether they work, whether the talents with ground effects work, how it works, because it just feels like I place my efflorescence on the floor and then I'm kind of praying that, is this gonna do anything? And also, you can't eat before you're starting the boss. So it seems like there's tons of these gimmicky little kind of mechanics. It's very similar to the vanilla statement they said a while ago.
Have you ever thought about adding
underwater bosses?
No. And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't.
Except in this case, if you replace vanilla with underwater boss, this statement would actually be true. That's how I feel about the underwater boss. Definitely the biggest disappointment in my eyes. Now let's go look at Radiance of Shara. Honestly, not much to talk about. Big debuff, run out, get dispelled, go kill the ad, you get knocked back. Pretty self-explanatory in terms of, you know, whether it was fun or whatever. It's okay. There's a lot of dodging and stuff like that. It's not the worst, it's not the best. Like, you know, entry level raid boss. Lady Ashvale. Now, this boss by far, in my eyes, wins the best model out of any of the bosses. Lady Ashvale is just one of the best looking bosses you could ever see. It's just amazing. Just look at the face. Just look at it. It's so pretty. But either way, this boss actually I kind of enjoy. I feel it's relatively good in terms of the coordination that's required. Again, it's severely undertuned that you don't really care about anything. You don't even need to follow mechanics that much. It is a very long boss fight depending on how you do it. But I felt that this boss was actually, or might be fun in the mythic encounter later down the line. Again, pretty long, a little bit undertuned. The next boss, Orgozoa, the big eye, the big giant eye. The big giant eye, again, it has multiple phases. Phase 1, you have to kind of dodge stuff on the ground. It's not too hard. I mean, people will fail anything these days. And I didn't fail a single time, just so you know, guys. Yes. At least on this boss. I failed multiple times, but on this boss, or actually I did fail on this boss. Yeah, the gauntlet. The gauntlet, it will separate the people who can dodge mechanics and people who can't. I know, it's a big separation. Either way, the gauntlet actually ended up being one of the hardest parts, because if you have your camera zoomed out, you kind of, your view will be obstructed because there is kind of these little objects that are going to block your way. So the way that I actually done this boss, or the gauntlet event, is that I went first person. It's a first person game, the way that World of Warcraft was always supposed to be played. And honestly, it made the whole transition more fun. It made the boss more fun to me. So I give a thumbs up to this boss. I like it. First person boss, gauntlet event, zoom, zoom, zoom. Now we go on to the Queen's Court. And honestly, Queen's Court is the first boss in terms of healing requirements that felt really, really good, because you actually had to heal. All of a sudden, popping your cooldowns actually didn't overheal by 90%. And it was really fun. So in terms of the boss mechanics and things like that, he has these different kind of mechanics that happen. And one of the really interesting ones is where you can't cast the same ability twice in a row. So I was playing my Resto Jude and I was like, god damn, all I do is rejuve, wild growth, trank. And all of a sudden I was getting kind of silenced all the time without even paying attention. But either way, I felt the mechanic was actually pretty interesting. Of course, certain classes might suffer from this more. There are quite a few 3 or 2 button classes out there, so they have to, like, you know, really utilize their toolkit to their fullest. I'm talking to you, Demon Hunters. Talking to you, Resto Druids. None of this rejuvenation spam. You gotta throw in some of those efflorescences, some of those wild growths. You gotta, you know, variety is the key. Variety. Then we go on to the second last boss. And honestly, on heroic mode, this is probably the second hardest boss. The way that I would rank bosses in this is that actually most of the bosses except for Queen Azshara are super undertuned and easy. But Zakil, whatever. Zakul, the big whatever, is actually a pretty hard boss. And it's not an amazingly hard boss, but there is a little step up. It is still a complete joke in my eyes for the second last boss to be this easy. But it's still a step up. So in terms of the mechanics, I actually felt it's kind of interesting. There is a giant eye that spawns and you kind of have, it's a beam and you have to avoid this. Honestly, for the longest time, I thought you had to, or you judged the beam direction by the little eye. And the eye kept following me all the time. And I was confused. I was like, how are you supposed to dodge this? It's always following me. It's almost like one of those paintings, the creepy old paintings in these haunted houses, where the eyes just follow you, and the same thing exactly was happening in this. It's not my fault I kept getting hit by this. It's not like I'll do raid preparation before a raid. So overall, Zakil was kind of interesting. I think mythic content or mythic Zakul is going to be an interesting boss fight. And now we go to Queen Azshara, and first of all, I haven't actually killed Queen Azshara yet, because the heroic version is actually very, very hard, or at least the mechanically speaking, it is really, really interesting. It has like multiple phases. You have to charge these kind of beams and things like that. It's very, very cool. Now, as I'm speaking right now, Queen Azshara has been nerfed, and it's probably going to be a joke. Maybe not. Maybe it'll still require a certain amount of coordination, but the heroic version has been severely nerfed. It is kind of safe to say that no boss in heroic is going to be hard. So this was my little overview of the bosses. I would love to hear your opinion in terms of, do you think it is too easy? In my opinion, I think the heroic version is far too easy, and I think the ramp up is not equivalent. I feel that every boss up to Zakul, come on, Google Translator, do the work for me.
Enjoyable.
Is a little bit harder, but still extremely easy. So basically, nothing to do, like super, super, super easy until Queen Azshara, and then it's like a massive, massive step up. Like, you can't compare any other boss to Queen Azshara in heroic mode. It is just ridiculously, there is no poke killers in this. There is no mega torque like you had in, you know, BOD, where you had to talk about which color you had. Square has blue, square has orange, and then, you know, for the first time ever as a poke player, you had to join these, you know, Discord servers. The first time ever, you had to socialize in real life. This, in many eyes, was just unacceptable. So Blizzard seemed to have gotten rid of this, and there's no poke killer bosses. You can easily poke a lot of these bosses right now. Even though our mythic raiding guild didn't have many issues with the heroic, I don't know how to feel about this, because it feels easier than BOD, a lot easier than BOD. Do people enjoy this? I feel it's really hard for me to rank or talk about Eternal Palace raid bosses because the mechanics were bypassed. A lot of the mechanics were bypassed because they're quite easy. Queen Azshara looks extremely fun in my opinion. I can't wait for it. I hope the mythic is going to be a bit more of a challenge. It'll be funny if Blizzard is gonna end up doing, hey, heroic is extremely easy, but mythic is gonna be like out of this world, super, super hard, because we don't want method, limit, or whatever to get the world first or kill the bosses in the first week. Or whether this raid is going to be just 2 boss raid. Every boss is gonna get 1 shot, and then maybe Zakul.
Enjoyable.
And Queen Azshara is actually gonna require, like, you know, 300, 400 wipes. We'll have to see. Again, guys, love to hear your opinion. If your comment gets hearted, it means you are relevant. You wanna get that hard. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know how you feel about this. If you enjoy the content, please do subscribe and all of that stuff. See you in my next video.